Cheap Trick.
Ooh, not bad.
Yeah.
Opening band?
Not that I know.
Band.
I mean, it was kind of a sneak out of the house situation, so I don't know that I got there right on time. It wasn't like I had my ticket and, my mom dropped me off. It was not like that.
Yeah, it's just like you just ran. You're like, oh my God.
What really happened to America's sweetheart? The megastar who commanded $20 million per film suddenly vanished from our screens. Today, we're talking about the shocking truth about Julia Roberts' mysterious disappearance from Tinseltown and her unexpected return. Julia Roberts is breaking her silence, and the real story behind her Hollywood exit will leave you speechless. Let's rewind to understand just how meteoric Julia Roberts' rise to fame really was. Breaking out in the late 80s with Mystic Pizza, Roberts quickly became Hollywood's golden girl. Her role in Pretty Woman alongside Richard Gere wasn't just a performance. It was a cultural phenomenon that raked in over $460 million at the box office. Studios were throwing scripts at her feet. That dazzling smile was everywhere. Then came the prestigious roles: Steel Magnolias, My Best Friend's Wedding, Notting Hill, The Crown Jewel, her Oscar-winning performance in Erin Brockovich. Roberts wasn't just an actress. She was a force of nature. She shattered the glass ceiling by becoming the first actress to command a $20 million paycheck for a single film. Hollywood was her oyster and she was collecting pearls. But something changed. The appearances became fewer, the roles more sporadic. Red carpet sightings of that million-dollar smile grew rare. Fans were left scratching their heads. Industry insiders whispered, what could make one of Hollywood's biggest stars step away from the spotlight? Now, in a candid interview with the New York Times, Roberts is finally setting the record straight. And the truth? It's both simpler and more complex than anyone imagined. Roberts reveals, her characteristic frankness on full display. It wasn't by design, I simply couldn't find something that interested me. This admission sends shockwaves through the industry. The actress who could cherry-pick any role she wanted couldn't find anything worth her time. But there's more to this story, much more. While script quality played a major role, Roberts' priorities had shifted dramatically. After meeting cinematographer Daniel Motter on the set of The Mexican in 2000, love bloomed. Marriage followed in 2002, and soon after, the couple welcomed twins Phineas and Hazel. Their family grew again in 2007 with the arrival of son Henry. I have a sense of great pride in being home with my family and considering myself a homemaker, Roberts explains. This wasn't just lip service, it was a conscious choice to be present for her children's formative years. But here's where it gets interesting. Roberts didn't completely abandon Hollywood. Instead, she became incredibly selective. Remember when she almost turned down August, Osage County, the very film that earned her another Oscar nomination? It was her husband who pushed her to take the role, saying, at some point you were going to have to leave us to work. Wouldn't you rather roll those dice in a situation like this, where you have a good understanding of what you're going to be doing and the people you're going to be working with? Roberts' standards remain sky high. Here's the thing, if I'd thought something was good enough, I would have done it, she states matter-of-factly. But finding that perfect project became an increasingly complex equation, she explains. It's not just, oh, I think I want to do this. It's also the math equation of my husband's work schedule and the kids' school schedule and summer vacation. This careful balancing act meant saying no more often than yes. But now, something's changed. Roberts is back in the spotlight with the Starz series Gaslit, where she portrays Martha Mitchell in the Watergate scandal. And the project that truly marks her return to form, Ticket to Paradise, her first romantic comedy in 20 years, reuniting her with frequent co-star George Clooney. Why now? Because the material finally met her exacting standards. It was Notting Hill level of writing or My Best Friend's Wedding level of madcap fun, she explains. But even then, she had one condition. George Clooney had to be her co-star. Looking back, Roberts' disappearance wasn't really a disappearance at all. It was a masterclass in career management and life balance. While other stars burned out or faded away, Roberts simply chose quality over quantity, family over fame. As Julia Roberts returns to the spotlight, she's making it clear that success means playing by her own rules. With her recent hit Ticket to Paradise and upcoming projects like Leave the World Behind alongside Mahershala Ali, Roberts demonstrates that stepping back can actually propel you forward. Her philosophy has remained steadfast through the years. The things that are correct for me will come to me at the time that I am interested in them and have the capacity, the understanding to do them. These aren't just words. They're a blueprint for sustainable success in an industry known for burning through talent. Roberts' journey challenges Hollywood's traditional strike while the iron is hot mentality. While many stars chase every opportunity, fearful of losing momentum, she's proven that true staying power comes from knowing when to say no and when to step back. Her approach shows that prioritizing what truly matters, whether it's family, personal growth, or waiting for the right role, isn't career suicide. Instead, it's a masterclass in longevity. By refusing to let the industry's demands override her personal values, Roberts hasn't just survived in Hollywood. She's redefined what success looks like on her own terms. Her approach has influenced a new generation of actresses who are learning that they don't have to sacrifice personal happiness for professional success. Roberts proved you can have both if you're willing to wait for the right opportunities. So, what's the real truth about Julia Roberts' Hollywood exit? There was no scandal, no feud, no dramatic fall from grace. Instead, we find a story of conscious choices, family priorities, and steadfast standards. Roberts didn't leave Hollywood. She just refused to let Hollywood define her life. And now, as she returns to the spotlight, she's doing it with the same grace, wisdom, and selectivity that marked her temporary retreat. What does the future hold for Julia Roberts? If her past decisions are any indication, we can expect more carefully chosen roles, more quality over quantity, and more of that signature smile, but only when the project is right. As she puts it herself, there's always time for everything in acting. The key is waiting for the right moment, the right role, and the right reason to step back into the spotlight. So there you have it, the real story behind Julia Roberts' Hollywood exodus. No scandal, no drama, just a woman who dared to put family first and maintain her standards in an industry known for compromises. And now that she's back, one thing's for certain. Julia Roberts isn't just making a comeback. She's reminding us why we fell in love with her in the first place. From Pretty Woman to Pretty Wise, Roberts has shown us that sometimes the biggest power move in Hollywood is knowing when to step away. And as she returns to our screens, one thing's crystal clear. America's sweetheart hasn't lost her touch. She's just gotten better at choosing when to share it with the world. The Julia Roberts story isn't just about an actress taking a break from Hollywood. It's about rewriting the rules of success, challenging industry norms, and proving that sometimes the best career move is putting family first. And that's a plot twist worth waiting for.
In the book, you reveal so much, including the secret to making a joke work.
Are you in trouble interviewing me?
Why should I be in trouble?
Because you don't talk about infrastructure, you don't talk about,
This is a vacation for me. This is
right.
great.
I said, George, he's in deep water. He's in, but he's married to a comic, so he might understand comedy and love it.
I do love it. This is a question that's probably impossible to.
At 98, Mel Brooks has spent nearly a century making us laugh with classics like Blazing Saddles. But one decision still weighs on him after all these years. What is his biggest regret, and how did it shape his incredible career? Let's uncover the story. The story of Mel Brooks starts in a small Brooklyn apartment in 1926, where he was born Melvin Kaminsky on a kitchen table. His mother, Katie, who already had 3 boys, was hoping for a girl. Instead, she got Mel, who would become one of comedy's greatest legends. Being the youngest of 4 boys meant young Mel got lots of love and attention from his family. He often said he spent his early years being thrown in the air, kissed, and cuddled so much that his feet barely touched the ground until he was 5. But sadness came early when his father, Max, died from kidney tuberculosis when Mel was only 2 years old. This loss left what Mel called a brushstroke of depression that stayed with him throughout his life, influencing how he showed relationships between men in his movies and comedy.
What would you have me do for you?
I shall give you my laws, and you shall take them unto the people.
Yes, Lord! Lord, I shall give these laws unto thy people. Hear me! Oh, hear me! All pay heed! The Lord! The Lord!
Growing up in Brooklyn during the Great Depression wasn't easy, but young Mel found his superpower early, making people laugh. As the shortest kid in his class, he needed a way to protect himself from bullies. He became what he called the undisputed champ of corner shtick, using his quick wit and funny jokes to make friends with bigger kids who would then protect him. His neighborhood was filled with kids playing stickball, going to movies, and hanging out on street corners. While other kids worried about being tough, Mel worked on being funny. Everything changed when his uncle took him to see his first Broadway show, Anything Goes. Hidden on the floor of his uncle's taxi on the way home, because he wasn't supposed to be there, young Mel announced he was was going into show business instead of working in the garment center like everyone else in the neighborhood. At age 14, Brooks got his first real taste of show business working as a busboy at a resort in the Borscht Belt, a famous group of hotels where many great comedians started their careers. He worked his way up to becoming what they called a pool tumbler, which meant his job was keeping guests entertained around the swimming pool. He would do crazy things to make people laugh, like putting on a derby hat and coat, carrying heavy suitcases to the diving board and yelling, "Business is no good, I don't want to live," before jumping into the pool. Even though the lifeguard had to keep fishing him out, Brooks loved making people laugh so much that he didn't care about getting soaked. This love of physical comedy and willingness to do anything for a laugh would become one of his trademarks throughout his career.
Remember, thou art mortal.
Oh, blow it out your ass.
Oh, Caesar. I have brought your illustrious name before the four corners of the earth. I've subdued and conquered the barbaric hordes in the name of Rome. I penetrated into the farthest...
What's under the sheet?
Sheet?
Sheet!
Sheet!
World War II changed everything for Brooks and his brothers, who all served in the military. Even though Brooks didn't like war, he felt he had to fight against Hitler and the Nazis. Ironically, while fighting against anti-Semitism, he faced it from some of his fellow soldiers. But Brooks found ways to use comedy even in war. Once, hearing German soldiers singing badly across a river, he grabbed a bullhorn and sang Al Jolson songs back at them. He swears he heard applause from the German side afterward. After the war, Brooks started writing for television, including Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows. This period was exciting, but also really hard on him. He had such bad anxiety attacks that he would sometimes have to run through the streets of Manhattan or throw up between parked cars to deal with his nerves. Brooks's personal life was just as colorful as his career. His first marriage to Florence Baum gave him 3 children, but ended in divorce because he was, in his own words, probably hell to live with. Then in 1961, he met actress Anne Bancroft and fell madly in love. Their romance started when he saw her rehearsing for a TV show and shouted, "Anne Bancroft, I love you." She shouted back, "Who the hell are you?" Got married in 1964 in a ceremony where Brooks forgot the ring, so Bancroft used her earring instead. They both tried not to look at each other during the ceremony because the justice of the peace had such a funny voice that they were afraid they'd burst out laughing. Their marriage lasted until Bancroft died in 2005, and she was his biggest supporter through all his successes and failures. But wait, there is more. The 1970s saw Brooks become the king of comedy movies, but getting there wasn't easy. When he made The Producers, a movie about 2 guys trying to make money from a musical about Hitler, many people thought he had gone too far. Jewish organizations and rabbis sent him angry letters, but Brooks believed that making fun of Hitler was the best way to fight back against evil. He said you can't argue with bad guys on a soapbox, but you can make people laugh at them. His next movie, The 12 Chairs, was so hard to make in Yugoslavia that his hair turned gray during filming. He got so mad once that he threw his director's chair into the ocean, which caused all the workers to go on strike because, in communist Yugoslavia, the chair was considered public property.
But I love an engine underneath the comedy that says something. And this one says something about racial prejudice. I got Richard Pryor immediately. Richard was the best stand-up comic that ever lived.
But then Richard couldn't do Blazing Saddles.
Are we awake?
We're not sure. Are we black?
Yes, we are.
Then we're awake. But we're very puzzled.
He was arrested once for drugs, and then we couldn't get insurance, and I said, Richard, I'm not doing Blazing Saddles. I love you too much, and this is too big an insult. He said, no. We'll find a black sheriff.
Brooks' biggest hits came with movies like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. He loved pushing boundaries and breaking rules about what you could show in movies. When studio bosses told him to take things out of Blazing Saddles, like the famous bean-eating scene or a scene where someone punches a horse, Brooks just ignored them. He bought handkerchiefs for everyone on the Young Frankenstein set because people kept ruining takes by laughing too hard. While he could be tough to work with, some actors even needed to see their therapists after working with him. He was loyal to his favorite actors and crew members, using them again and again in different movies.
Protectorate visionaries eventually planned a totally altered Earth and even an altered solar system. Why not genetically alter humans to function perfectly in a perfectly restructured world.
Money problems hit Brooks hard in the 1980s when he produced a movie called Solar Babies. The budget grew from $5 million to $23 million, and Brooks had to mortgage his house to pay for it. When the movie made less than $1 million, he was so upset he talked about jumping off the Empire State Building. But he bounced back with hits like Spaceballs and by producing serious movies like The Elephant Man. Through it all, his wife Anne Bancroft supported him. She once said her heart would beat faster just hearing his key in the lock at night because she was so happy he was coming home. One of the most important people in Brooks' life was his best friend, Carl Reiner. They met while working on Your Show of Shows and created the famous 2,000-Year-Old Man comedy routine together. Their friendship lasted 70 years, and in their later years, they watched Jeopardy together every night. Even during the COVID pandemic in 2020, when they couldn't see each other, they would watch the same shows while talking on the phone. Reiner died in 2020 at age 98, and Brooks said he never had a better friend. Today, Mel Brooks is one of the few people to win an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. He wrote his autobiography in 2021, still makes TV shows, and got another Oscar in 2024. When people ask if he regrets any jokes he made, he says his only regrets are the jokes he didn't tell because he thought they might be too much. Even in his 90s, Brooks keeps working and making people laugh. He says there's nothing better in the world than saying something funny and hearing an audience explode with laughter. For him, making people laugh is pure magic, and he never wants to stop. Which one is your favorite Brooks movie? Share your thought in the comments section and subscribe for more updates.
By the way, I loved your speech last year when you got this award.
I loved yours too, Michael.
Did you? I didn't make one, Sean. I wasn't here. I was working. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity.
At 91, Michael Caine finally reveals the untold truth about Sean Connery. The struggles, the triumphs, and the bond that shaped a Hollywood icon. This is the story you've never heard about the man behind James Bond.
My name is Bond, James Bond. My instructions were implicit. I was to leave for Jamaica in 2 hours. License to kill.
The year was 1962. Cinema was about to change forever, though nobody knew it yet. When Sean Connery first stepped onto the screen in Doctor No, wearing that impeccably tailored tuxedo and delivering the now immortal line, Bond, James Bond, he didn't just introduce himself. He launched a cultural phenomenon that would define sophisticated masculinity for generations to come. Yet the path to this defining moment was anything but certain. Producers Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman had their sights set on established stars like Cary Grant and David Niven for the role of James Bond. Connery, with his working-class background and unrefined edges, seemed an unlikely choice to play Ian Fleming's sophisticated spy.
What changed their minds wasn't just Connery's good looks or his commanding presence. It was something more intangible. During his audition, Connery displayed an almost preternatural understanding of the character. As he left the room, adjusting his collar with casual confidence, Broccoli turned to his team and declared, "We found James Bond." That instant of recognition would alter not just Connery's life, but the entire landscape of cinema. The pressure of embodying such an iconic character was immense. Connery had to transform himself, learning not just how to throw a punch convincingly, but how to order wine, play baccarat, and move through high society as if he'd been born to it. Sean studied everything, Michael Caine reveals. He wasn't just playing Bond, he was creating him from the ground up. Success came at a cost. As Bond's popularity exploded, Connery found himself trapped in a golden cage of his own making. "I don't hate James Bond," he once confided to Caine, "but I don't want to be remembered only for this character." The irony wasn't lost on either man. The role that had given Connery everything was now threatening to take away his identity as an actor. The pressure became so intense that Connery stepped away from the role after You Only Live Twice in 1967. Yet the pull of Bond proved difficult to resist, leading to his return in Diamonds Are Forever, 1971, and later in the non-Eon production Never Say Never Again, 1983. These decisions weren't made lightly. As Caine reveals, Sean struggled with Bond. He knew the role had made him, but he also knew it could break him if he let it. What happens when two men from humble beginnings find themselves at the apex of Hollywood? The friendship between Connery and Caine offers a remarkable answer. Their first meeting at a London party in the 1960s sparked an immediate connection that would last over 5 decades. Both had fought their way up from poverty. Connery from Edinburgh's working-class streets, Caine from London's East End. Caine recalls, "We recognized something in each other. That hunger to succeed? Yes, but also a determination to never lose ourselves in the process." Their shared background created a bond that transcended the superficial relationships common in Hollywood. They understood each other in a way few others could, having walked similar paths from poverty to stardom. Their friendship was tested during the filming of The Man Who Would Be King in 1975. Facing brutal conditions in Morocco, many cast and crew members struggled with the heat and isolation. During a particularly threatening storm, while others panicked, Connery's response revealed his character. "We just need to get through it like we've done all our lives," he said, laughing in the face of adversity. This resilience, this ability to face challenges with humor and determination, defined not just their friendship, but their approach to life itself. For decades, Connery's reputation was complicated by rumors and controversies. Was he truly difficult to work with? Why did he really leave Hollywood at the height of his success? Caine's revelations paint a more nuanced picture than the tabloid headlines ever could. According to Caine, Connery wasn't difficult. He was demanding, both of himself and others. Sean believed that if something was worth doing, it was worth doing right, Caine explains. He couldn't tolerate mediocrity, especially in himself. This uncompromising commitment to quality ultimately led him to abandon the Bond franchise after Diamonds Are Forever. Connery believed the character had become too commercialized, losing the depth and complexity he had worked so hard to develop. The controversial 1965 interview where Connery made remarks about women haunted him for years. Caine reveals that his friend deeply regretted those words and worked to evolve his views over time. Sean was capable of growth, Caine insists. He wasn't afraid to admit when he was wrong and learn from his mistakes. That's rare in anyone, but especially rare in Hollywood. Connery's decision to leave Hollywood at the peak of his career puzzled many. After winning an Academy Award for The Untouchables and starring in blockbusters like Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, he chose to retreat to a quieter life in the Bahamas. Sean told me, "I can't stand the lies anymore," Caine revealed. He'd reached a point where the artifice of Hollywood life had become unbearable. This wasn't a decision made in haste or anger. Rather, it reflected Connery's growing desire for authenticity in his life. He turned down numerous multi-million-dollar offers, including roles that might have won him more awards. Instead, he chose to focus on what truly mattered to him: his family, his art, and his privacy. Few knew about Connery's passionate pursuit of painting in his later years. His wife, Micheline Roquebrune, an accomplished artist herself, described these works as silent confessions. Each canvas became a window into his soul, filled with memories of his beloved Scotland and their life together. "When I hold a brush," Connery once told Caine, "I feel like I'm telling a story just like when I act, but this time the story is mine." His dedication to family life surprised many who knew him only as the sophisticated screen icon. His relationship with Micheline became his anchor, leading him to say, "Micheline is my James Bond because she always saves me from my mistakes." This quiet devotion showed a side of Connery that few got to witness, the tender, vulnerable man behind the legendary persona. Connery's battle with Alzheimer's disease in his final years revealed both the fragility of life and the strength of love. Micheline chose to care for him personally, watching as the sharp mind and vibrant personality that had captivated millions gradually faded. Yet even in his most vulnerable moments, glimpses of their deep connection remained. Micheline shared, "It was heartbreaking to see such a powerful mind slowly slip away." Yet she also spoke of moments of profound connection, when his eyes would light up with recognition and love. These precious instances became her solace as his condition progressed. On October 31st, 2020, Sean Connery passed away peacefully in his sleep at his Bahamas home. His death sparked global mourning, with tributes pouring in from around the world. But the true measure of his impact goes far beyond the roles he played or the awards he won. Sean Connery's influence extends far beyond his portrayal of James Bond. From his knighthood in 2000 to his passionate advocacy for Scottish independence, he lived life on his own terms. Cain said, "Sean was not just my friend, but an inspiration. His legacy is not just James Bond. It's how he lived, how he fought for what he believed in, and how he treated others. His commitment to his Scottish heritage never wavered, despite his global success. I am Scottish first and an actor second," he often declared. This pride in his roots, combined with his support for Scottish independence, made him not just a cultural icon, but a symbol of national identity for many Scots. What made Connery truly exceptional wasn't just his acting prowess or his legendary charm. It was his authenticity. In an industry built on illusion, he remained steadfastly true to himself. Whether playing a British secret agent or a Russian submarine commander, Connery brought an unmistakable dignity and presence to every role. Through Michael Caine's revelations, we see not just the actor or the icon, but the man himself, complex, principled, and profoundly human. In an age of carefully crafted celebrity images, Connery's genuine nature set him apart. Perhaps this, more than any role he played, is his most enduring legacy. As new generations discover his work, they find something increasingly rare in today's world: an artist who never compromised his principles, a star who never lost his humanity, and a man who lived life on his own terms until the very end. His journey from Edinburgh milk delivery man to global icon serves as a reflection of the power of talent and determination. The friendship between Connery and Caine stands as a reminder that even in the most artificial of worlds, genuine connections can flourish. Their bond, spanning more than half a century, offers a glimpse into what truly matters in life. Not the accolades or the acclaim, but the relationships we forge and the principles we uphold. In the end, Sean Connery's greatest role wasn't James Bond or any other character he portrayed on screen. It was the role he played in real life, as a friend, a husband, an artist, and a man who never forgot where he came from. In a world of carefully constructed celebrity personas, perhaps that's the most remarkable performance of all.
I feel like you're just letting everything down all the time. Llorona, 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 de azul celeste.
Matt Damon breaks his silence on Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's heartbreaking split, revealing the unseen struggles that fame and love couldn't overcome. As their marriage crumbles, Damon offers an intimate look at how the pressures of the spotlight and unresolved conflicts led to the collapse of Hollywood's most iconic couple. His account reveals the delicate balance the couple tried to maintain between their public image and private struggles, offering a rare glimpse into how fame ultimately affected their marriage. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's relationship, which seemed like the perfect second-chance romance, has crumbled after just 2 years of marriage, and the details emerging paint a complex picture of fame, struggle, and heartbreak. The cracks began appearing in early 2024, though few could interpret them at the time. While the couple maintained a facade of marital bliss, attending events together and house hunting in New York City, subtle signs of strain were becoming evident to those closest to them. Matt Damon, Affleck's lifelong friend and confidant, was among the first to notice these changes. Ben has always struggled with the spotlight, Damon revealed in a recent interview. The pressure of being one half of Bennifer took a toll on him, just like it did the first time around. But this time, the stakes were higher and the pressure was more intense than ever. To comprehend the collapse of this high-profile marriage, we must first examine Affleck's complex relationship history. His pattern of intense romances followed by dramatic breakups began in the late 1990s with Gwyneth Paltrow. Their relationship, which blossomed on the set of Shakespeare in Love, set a precedent for what would become a recurring theme in Affleck's romantic life. Paltrow's infamous comment about Affleck preferring a bikini-clad waitress serving cold beers wasn't just a casual jab. It highlighted deeper issues that would haunt his future relationships. Even then, industry insiders noted Affleck's difficulty balancing his desire for privacy with the demands of public life. The decade Affleck spent married to Jennifer Garner provides crucial context for understanding his current situation. Their relationship, which began during the filming of Pearl Harbor and deepened on the set of Daredevil, showed both Affleck's capacity for commitment and his struggles with maintaining it. Garner, who supported Affleck through multiple rehabilitation stints, described him as a complicated man, capable of intense presence and affection one moment, yet prone to becoming distant and withdrawn the next. This pattern would later echo ominously in his relationship with Lopez.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're happy. You deserve it. You work so hard.
Thank you.
And as you know, love is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
So that's all that matters to me, is that you're happy and that you're in love. Seriously.
You're sweet. And there it is right there.
It is. It's right here.
I did my interview for Marry Me, and then they put Jennifer Lopez in love on the cover.
Yep.
Yes, that's nice.
How is the relationship different the second time around? And how were you different the second time around?
I mean, I think it's funny because you mentioned the Amazon original. It deals with that 20 years, you know. A lot of the things that are in it are inspired by things that I went through. Obviously, it's not an autobiographical thing at all. It's more kind of meta. Yeah. But it definitely takes things that I understood and I knew and I had lived, and it really is the story kind of a hopeless romantic, you know, and their journey and the things that happen to you, the things that you can go through. With that. I mean, some things are there for dramatic purposes, but, you know, there are definitely things that were inspired by different things I went through in my life.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's reunion in 2021 captured the public's imagination as a rare second chance at love. Their first relationship in the early 2000s had ended largely due to intense media scrutiny, with paparazzi following their every move. When they reconnected nearly 20 years later, many believe they had grown wiser and better equipped to handle fame's pressures. Their initial reunion seemed to support this hope. They appeared more mature and secure in themselves, suggesting they could better navigate the challenges that had previously torn them apart. Their intimate Las Vegas wedding, followed by a grand celebration in Georgia, painted a picture of a couple who had finally found their happy ending. However, according to Matt Damon's insights, old patterns began emerging almost immediately. The key breaking point came when Lopez decided to include their private communications in a documentary project. This decision crystallized their fundamental difference in approaching public life. While Lopez embraced transparency and sharing their story with fans, Affleck struggled with what he saw as an invasion of their private life. This tension mirrored their earlier relationship's problems, where Affleck had similarly felt overwhelmed by the public nature of their romance. The situation demonstrated that despite the passage of time, their core conflict around privacy versus publicity remained unresolved. The situation reached a critical point during the spring of 2024. Lopez faced a series of professional setbacks. Her first studio album in 10 years struggled to find an audience. Tour dates were canceled due to low interest, and 2 biographical projects failed to meet expectations. She needed her husband's support more than ever. Instead, Affleck's absences became increasingly noticeable. He missed several crucial events, including the premiere of her Netflix movie, Atlas, and, most tellingly, the Met Gala, where she served as co-chair. While friends defended his absence, citing his discomfort with such events, the pattern was clear. Affleck was retreating just when Lopez needed him most. Damon's recent meeting with Lopez, just days before the split became public, revealed the depth of their struggles. According to sources close to Damon, the conversation centered on the fundamental disconnect between Lopez's comfort with fame and Affleck's ongoing battle with public scrutiny. Ben never fully adjusted to being one half of a power couple, Damon reportedly shared. He loves Jen, but the pressure of constantly being in the spotlight was destroying him. It was like watching history repeat itself, but this time with even higher stakes. The impact on their blended family adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Between them, they share 5 children, Affleck's 3 with Jennifer Garner, and Lopez's twins with Mark Anthony. The couple had worked hard to create a unified family unit, with Lopez often attending events with Affleck's children and vice versa. Recent sightings of Affleck in Connecticut with his children and ex-wife Jennifer Garner suggest he's finding solace in familiar territory. As his daughter Violet prepares for college, Affleck appears more relaxed away from the intense scrutiny that came with his marriage to Lopez. The split has affected both parties professionally. Lopez has thrown herself into work, though sources say she's devastated by the marriage's failure. Her team is carefully managing her public appearances, aware that this personal setback comes at a crucial time in her career. Affleck, meanwhile, has retreated from the spotlight, focusing on his directing projects and spending time with his children. The contrast in their coping mechanisms highlights the fundamental differences that contributed to their separation. According to Damon, the collapse of Bennifer 2.0 reflects broader themes about celebrity culture and mental health. Affleck's ongoing struggles with alcohol addiction, though currently under control, added another layer of complexity to their relationship. The pressure of maintaining a perfect public image while dealing with personal demons proved overwhelming. The intense media attention that followed their every move played a significant role in their separation. From analyzing their body language at public events to scrutinizing their social media presence, the constant attention created an environment where genuine intimacy became increasingly difficult to maintain. As both parties move forward separately, questions about their future remain. Lopez, ever the professional, has maintained a busy schedule of appearances and performances. Affleck has been spotted more frequently with his children and ex-wife, suggesting a return to a more private lifestyle. The collapse of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's marriage has sparked serious conversations in Hollywood about whether high-profile relationships can survive in today's digital age. Unlike previous eras, celebrity couples now face unprecedented levels of scrutiny through social media, constant paparazzi attention, and fans who expect intimate access to their favorite stars' lives. As industry experts analyze the aftermath, they see two distinct paths emerging for the former couple. Lopez, who has always embraced the spotlight, continues to thrive in her multifaceted entertainment career, balancing music, movies, and business ventures with her characteristic drive. Her approach suggests she views public attention as an integral part of her success. In contrast, Affleck appears to be making a strategic retreat from public life. By focusing on directing and behind-the-scenes work, he seems to have found a way to maintain his creative passion while stepping away from the intense publicity that contributed to his personal struggles. This shift represents a telling response to the pressures that ultimately proved too much for their relationship to bear. As Matt Damon continues to support his longtime friend through this transition, he offers a final perspective on the situation. Sometimes love isn't enough when you're living under a microscope. Ben and Jen truly cared for each other, but the pressure of being Bennifer was too much for any relationship to bear. This latest chapter in the Bennifer saga serves as a cautionary tale about love in the spotlight. Despite their genuine affection for each other, the pressures of fame, personal struggles, and fundamentally different approaches to public life proved too much to overcome.